speak on this just very, very quickly. It has to be miserable to be a leftist popular streamer. Now, most of these guys are on a safe haven on Twitch for the most part. Now, some of it is by way of just first use. They were kind of the first ones over there, and so they were able to dominate that. Any of you guys that have been on Twitch, that's pretty much all that it is. All the gaming streamers, for the most part, are authoritarian leftists. All of the commentators that are over there that don't necessarily game, but they sit there and just watch other people's content and sit in the just chatting thing, which I guess that's their business. They get to do that. But they're for sure, for the most part, almost exclusively, aside from a couple of us that exist on there, though not nearly as followed over there, that aren't leftists, most of them are. And recent stories come out, and you hear this like there's a new one every single like other month, it feels like, or maybe even half a year, maybe to be more lenient on it, where one of these leftist streamers who, hey, tax the rich, I'm one of you guys, I'm a socialist, and all of this sort of stuff. And then they get outed for buying a house or something that they did, that they paid to try to live in this sort of luxurious life. And then they get, of course, criticized for doing just that. The latest being that dipshit, and I'm going to call him that because he's not a smart guy at all, though he does have the benefit of having a bunch of leftist hyenas that support anything it is that he said. But you can look at Hassan Piker when he was doing that video. I think it was specifically for the Young Turks, talking about libertarianism. The guy's a fucking idiot. Like, he's a very stupid person. But that's not the point about the video, because he's seeing a lot of success, probably more success over at Twitch than he ever saw with his buffalo head uncle over there on the Young Turks, Chink. And he's making a lot of money. It's very clear. Of course, Twitch, it's a little different of a setup to try to gauge how much money people are making. Yeah, they have direct donations, but you know, when you got bits and subscriptions that you're getting a certain percentage of, you can kind of gauge if they have a big following, they're going to easily have a lot of money that they're bringing in. Now, Hassan recently used his monies to get a $3 million house in LA. Now, I'm a capitalist. I don't care about that. However, we can't act like the irony is lost upon us, or rather, we cannot sit up here and act like he's not a raging fucking hypocrite, like most leftist streamers are. See, a lot of these guys like living a wealthy, comfortable lifestyle, right? They get to, in some cases, talk about things that they like to do. Maybe if they game from time to time, they get to do that, and that's the bulk of where they get their money from. I will never knock anybody for doing something like that. However, it's antithetical to the philosophical or economic positions that you generally have. Now, he'll try to say, well, I bought a house, I give money to other people. You're living in a fucking three. From what we all know, you're living in a three. I ain't a pocket watcher, but dude, it's a $3 million fucking dollar house. There's obviously a lot of different things that you could have done with $3 million, including getting yourself another house, maybe not in the Hollywood fucking hills of LA. You know what I'm saying? So you living among the elites, which is your business, but it's just obviously antithetical to what this leftism is. See, that's why a lot of these guys are fucking miserable. And a lot of these guys try to either conceal or try to sweep under the table. Maybe, I guess that's the same thing. The amount of wealth that they've been able to accumulate swindling a bunch of leftists on sites like Twitch. Okay? Yeah, they may have donation efforts that go to other things, but they live a life that's luxurious. It has to be a miserable thing because you have to try to conceal it, because when you don't conceal it, this is what happens. See, I'm a capitalist. Us capitalists don't have such problems. We can also donate to other people if that's something that we want to do. But I'm in the business of getting rich. You know what I mean? I want generational wealth. I want for me, my family. I want everybody to be taken care of that I give a damn about, and to be able to do whatever the hell I want. That's what I love to be able to do. And because I'm open and honest about that, though capitalism, being a capitalist doesn't mean you want to be rich. It's not what that term means. just advocacy of the private ownership of goods and services and the free and voluntary exchange of those private goods and services. That's all that is. You can be poor and be a capitalist. You can be rich and be a capitalist. That doesn't matter. But I'm in the business of getting rich. This is why I've done so many things. I have a million ventures. I do want to get there. That is my incentive to get there. My supporters know that. And my supporters would, if you 100 with them, they'll want you to be rich too. They want you to be as comfortable as you possibly can. This is why a lot of these guys have all these mental issues and all types, because they fake. How many times have I said that, right? These streamers and content creators, whatever you want to call them, they have a lot of money. You think they have the easiest job in the world, but they have some mental breakdown, mental health crisis and all of that. Could there be something else going on in their own individual lives? Of course. But I believe, just because I know people like this, a lot of that stems from being just mentally exhausted from being a fucking fake. That's what happens when you do that. See, I, as an example, and it's not something that's unique to me, a lot of other people do this as well. But I, for example, am me. What you're seeing is exactly what you're getting. People that have met me know this is who I am. That's pretty transparent in that regards, especially where I'm at philosophically. It's not a secret. So I get to be who I want to be. I get to make whatever videos that I want to make. Some might piss people off, others won't, maybe more or less. But I'm me. It's exhausting to be someone that you're not, which isn't just leftist variety streamers on Twitch, but a lot of people do that. And that's why they drive themselves crazy. And they got to take all these breaks for a month. I can't handle it. It's because you walking on eggshells or you having to be someone that you are not. And that's mentally exhausting. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily what Hassan Pike is doing. He's swindling a bunch of leftists, okay? This is what they do. Champagne Socialist has been this way over the course of history. All of these socialistic leaders, for the most part, have all been wealthy, taken care of, and do not live lives that are akin to the populace or the portion of the populace that they're attempting to appeal to. That's been the case since even their beloved Marx, who was a bum, by the way, but he was subsidized by a wealthy person. And if you are yourself, you don't have to worry about issues like that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. But the beauty of this and what this shows, when you have enough money to purchase a $3 million house, and I don't know if it was cash, but it probably was. See, this is why capitalism is the most moral economic system that will ever exist. Because if Hassan Piker wanted to take that $3 million and build and buy a bunch of land, which he could have done instead of living on the Hollywood Hills, buy a bunch of land in some geographical area, and he was going to allow people to, let's say, come live in that what is sort of this quasi commune or something like that. He's not full blown communist, I don't think. He's more just leftist kind of socialistic guy. He is free to do that, and not one capitalist would have gotten in his way for doing it. Not one. Well, we may have said that is going to be an epic failure. Of course, some people would say that because it doesn't work. But if you want to pool your own resources and do that, that is perfectly acceptable under capitalism. This is why I always say, I believe Ron Paul said this as well, or a variation of it. And that is that the capitalist will allow the socialist to be a socialist. The socialist won't allow the capitalist to be a capitalist. They don't want that. But he very well could have taken that money and did that. And I would advocate that he should be able to have more of his money and not be taxed to do exactly that and pay for abundance of other things that he would like to do that may work towards his leftism and his efforts. But you just can't force everybody else to do that. And that's where the socialists, a lot of the state socialists, of course, don't agree with that because they think that everybody else should live like them. And if they want to hijack your property in the process, they get to do that. But he very well could have took that $3 million and did whatever he wanted to do. And he said instead of doing that, he'd much rather buy himself a comfortable house, decent sized house, living in the Hollywood Hills, which, I mean, whatever. I guess that's what you want to do. But he's swindling a bunch of leftists, and this is why some people are talking about and getting frustrated with him about that. A lot of folks are being disingenuous, of course, but that's mainly what this is. It's not about you buying a house. It's not about you having a lot of money. It's about you having the economic or political philosophy that you have, and then you did what it is that you do. That's the issue. That's the only issue there. So with some chick that this same thing happened, I believe she's based out of Dallas and bought X amount of millions of dollars. And she said, oh, yeah, tax the rich, all this other stuff. These guys are frauds, and that can be said for most leftist popular streamers. They live in a life of luxury. And again, if that's something that they want to do, they have every right to do that. But they swindling a bunch of people. And I always find that funny. Hey, man, if you're just capitalist and were open with it, you wouldn't have a bunch of pushback from a bunch of your own people. They have a problem with you spending that much money on Hollywood Hills. Basically, this is what Hassan Piker did. I'm in on this. Hassan Piker and others like him spent a bunch of money so they could be the fuck away from y'all's ass. You just watched a clip from our podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.